What up, everybody? Welcome into the Bourbon Buzzed and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and we are happy you're joining us tonight, either listening to us, watching us, whatever it is you choose to do. We're happy you're here. We hope to entertain you tonight with a little show.
Yeah, pour you a bourbon, sit back, and hear what we have to say.
Yeah, enjoy. Bourbon Buzzed and Ballin. We like to just talk sports in general, typically football, but we get into any kind of subjects, and of course we're always drinking bourbon of choice, and then at the end, you settle in for a little bourbon tasting and a rating. Kolby will give you a nice background on the bourbon, and we'll rate it, and
Yep.
we hope to give you whether or not you need to go out and spend some money on the bourbon or not.
Yeah, we're going to do another Southern Distilling Company, the Paragon series. This one's going to be the single barrel cask strength.
All right.
So we're going
Big
to
fans.
do that one tonight.
Big fans.
Yep. So and it was a busy day in the NFL. But before we get into any of that, let's we love to start off the show with our opening toast.
Yep.
So. You want to kick us off with your toast?
I'll kick us off with a little opening toast on a the local market here in the Charlotte area. The big cat, Jerry Richardson, the founder, the father of NFL football here in the Carolinas. I know his legacy's a little complicated.
Yeah.
I don't want to skirt around it a whole lot because it's pretty well known what he did.
Well, at least he wasn't a dick like Snyder.
True,
he did well. He's always put football first. His love of football.
That's a good point. He always kept the NFL logo on the field. He was the last of the owners to not put his own logo on the field. He was proud of the shield, but I think I outside of his tainted legacy. He did a lot of good things. He was a philanthropist. He donated millions of dollars to local universities of his choice, UNC Charlotte, Winthrop, just some other
smaller schools.
Philanthropy events that he did, and he built Bojangles and Hardee's to a mogul status to ultimately allow him to buy an NFL franchise. And honestly, if it wasn't for Jerry Richardson's vision, we would have never had the Panthers, coming here in the 90s. So, him passing away at 86. And, you said something that I think is important about his legacy. He knew he did wrong. He stepped away, and he sold his team for the better of his franchise and the better of the NFL. And I would like people to remember him more for that.
Right.
Than the liberties he took with females. And I think a tremendous amount of players have come out on his behalf.
Right, yeah.
And so, let's remember him for the good.
Right.
And the fact that he did man up.
Mm-hmm.
He accepted his responsibility, and he slipped away.
And, they were pretty successful pretty quick.
Very successful, man. He was a good owner, and I think you can tell by the love his ex-players have for him. So, anyway, that's who I want to toast.
Okay.
Jerry Richardson.
All right. Well, the last couple of weeks we've been pretty rough on the Alabama basketball team. Rightly so.
Rightly so. Rough time for Bama fans.
It is. But I did want to recognize that, they did real well on the end of the season award circuit. So Brandon Miller won Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year by by the coaches, USA Today, a few other reporting news agencies that give out these awards. He was the first to win both of these awards since Anthony Davis.
Wow.
With Kentucky. So
big company.
And he was left off of the wooden.
Right.
The Final 15, I think they're taking some of this off the court stuff, and
they made it personal.
And I appreciate the SEC for stepping up. And this man's not being charged with anything, so recognize his accomplishments on the court. And then also on the basketball team, the all freshman team, Miller, Clowney, and Bradley all made the all freshman team. Bediako made the all defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
Miller was a first-team All-SEC. Mark Sears was second-team All-SEC. And then Javon Quinterly was the sixth man of the year, which was the first Alabama player to ever win the sixth man of the year, as awarded by the coaches. So they've had a great season, and they were rewarded with some nice accolades by the coaches of the SEC. So just wanted to recognize them and give a toast to them.
I'm really proud of Quinn, the role he played this year, because, if it wasn't for the injury, he's a starter now, but – he accepted his role, and that's a lot of credit to Nate Oates.
Yeah, good leadership.
Yeah,
it seems like the team has very good chemistry. That's the word. That's a good word. It doesn't seem like there's even Brandon Miller, who's going to be a top 5 NBA pick.
Right,
is not a selfish player.
Not by any stretch.
So
there's depth. I mean, we just come at you with a whole set of 5.
Oh yeah.
And we don't really have a drop off in any particular area of the game, and so I agree that's credit to Coach Oates for instilling that within the guys, and the fact that Brandon Miller has risen above the mistake that he made, and I don't think we want to really get into that. I mean, that could be an entire show, but. At any rate, no, it's a good time to be a Bama fan, albeit just get past all these off-court issues.
Right. Yep. Did you have one other you wanted to mention over there?
Yeah, I do want to mention a story that came out, that I found out today. KJ Osborne, a Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, reportedly pulled a man from a burning car. Certain death, actually, is what was reported. He pulled him from the car and saved his life, and that was on Sunday that occurred. And what was kind of fun, not really funny, but what was interesting about the story is KJ had an Uber driver that was supposed to pick him up like 15 minutes earlier, but the Uber driver bailed on him at the last minute, and so the next Uber driver came and picked him up, and it was almost like just fate put him in that position,
being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was very fortunate for this unnamed guy that KJ was there, and the Uber driver helped as well. But apparently, some of the players coming forward said this was pretty typical of KJ and the type of person he is. So being a Vikings fan, I thought I'd throw that out there too, because I know you're gonna hit me with some G-men.
Oh yeah, I got
a T-shirt.
Got my
on.
Danny Dimes T-shirt on. I got my little Saquon.
It's not a bobblehead.
No, I don't.
Okay.
That's called a Funko Pop, is what those are called. So yeah. I'm gonna show this. We might need to episode the Homer show, because we're pretty much starting out all Homerism, and I have a feeling it's gonna have a heavy flavor as we get deeper into the show.
All right, that's cool.
But let's go ahead and raise our glasses and toast
the big
KJ,
cat.
Jerry Richardson, and all the Bama basketball players that had the awards.
Let's learn from them mistakes,
That's right.
man. We appreciate your work on the hard court this year.
right.
As a longtime Bama fan, it's been a long time since we've had a run like this, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm a little darker than you tonight on the bourbon. What are you drinking?
Well, that's because you poured half a bottle in your glass. That's a big pour, man.
I'm thirsty. That's my first one of the night. So
how many ounces is that?
I didn't measure.
You didn't measure. That was a Kolby pour.
I was just going up to the Kolby logo.
Kolby pour. No, I'm sipping on last week's bourbon.
Oh, okay. The bottled and bond.
Yeah, the Southern Star Paragon bottled and bond.
Yeah, I went with my favorite of the Old Forester collection, the Statesman.
Oh yeah, that's why it's the colors.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna give Old Forester the nod in terms of my favorite bourbon as well. But Southern Star is a rising.
Well, and I think we even kind of, when we were talking about that Paragon series, we kind of referenced the Old Forester. It was kind of like a mimicking the Old Forester in a way.
Yeah, it's really good flavor, and they're just only beginning.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun to kind of watch where they go. You know, we're kind of getting in on the ground floor with them, and it's kind of
right.
kind of the ground floor with the Bourbon Buzzed and Ballin too. So maybe we can kind of grow together.
I see a little synergy between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be good. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that for sure.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's move over to our scumbags of the week.
Scumbags, I guess.
And I'll let you kick that off again. What you got?
I'm gonna roll with the Texas Tech men's basketball coach, Mark Adams. Here we go with another stupid racist comment by a coach or by a person in position. Apparently he's quoting the Bible, and he was making reference, trying to motivate his players, but he was making reference to a biblical quote, and I'm not gonna go through it because, to be honest with you, I don't remember the book it came from. But he referenced a slave's responsibility to their masters, basically trying to motivate and making the analogy that his players and he was the master, and we all know that's those particular terms are gone.
When are people going to learn?
I don't know. It's beyond me why.
So, has he been suspended or anything?
Yeah, he's suspended, and he's actually on the chopping block anyway. He's only, I think, 2 years into his tenure, and he's a Texas Tech alum, but they're pretty unhappy with the progress there at Texas Tech. So I'm pretty sure this is the nail in the coffin for him.
I was going to say that's probably going to seal his fate right there.
There's really no place for that anymore. I mean, I don't even understand why you would even approach those terms with your players. I mean, it just
No, that's
place for it.
That's ridiculous. I mean, think before you speak, especially when you're in that type of position and you're molding young men, and it's just there's no place.
It's a head scratcher. Scratcher.
I mean, and something like that to me is a fireable offense. A lot of the media has been calling for Nate Oates to be fired for the way he's handled this whole situation, and so my scumbag or scumbags is actually just what the media has become. It's and as a broadcast major, I hate to see. I mean, you can't get any real facts anymore. Everything is opinions. Everything is lazy reporting. They hear one thing, and they determine how they want to interpret that one thing, and then they blow up a whole story about it.
Yeah.
I wish that the media right now, like Coach Oates, I wish he would sue some of these people for defamation of character. Because there was one article that came out, and the headline was, Alabama head coach Nate Oates gave go-ahead for Brandon Miller's pat-down pregame intro. Making it sound like Brandon came to him before the game and said, "Hey, Coach, what do you think of this idea?" And Coach said, "Yeah, go for it.
Let's make light of it."
So, no, that never happened. But this guy at Yard Barker, Victor Barbosa, wrote a whole story about how Nate Oates okayed it. And
just clickbait, man. Just dying for clicks, dying for follows. We're all out here trying to get follows, but at some point you have to be responsible.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's no research being done. Like I said, I think this guy heard, basically Nate Oates came out and said, I messed up. Put it on me. And what that's what a coach should do. He should shield his player.
Sure.
And he should be the man. He should man up and take the responsibility.
Right.
And which is basically what he was doing. He didn't say, yes, I told him, yeah, go ahead and do it. He was saying that he dropped the ball and he should have known what was going on as the adult in the room. And I'll take it even past Nate Oates. I don't even think Nate is the one who should be catching all the hell.
I mean, he's focusing on X's and O's.
Right.
Man.
It should go to the sports information director.
SID,
it should go to the athletic director. Those are the two guys that should have been protecting Oates. You know, Oates' job is to protect the players.
Right.
The SID and the AD, it's their job to be the voice answering all these questions.
There's enough people in the athletic department that should have been caught.
Right.
We've had this discussion last week or podcast before. You know, there's enough in our PR department that, and like you said, he'd been doing this pat down all year long.
Right.
So that should have been caught prior to. And I mean, these people, man, I've had this discussion. I mean, and you can't begin to understand. I mean, I don't want to get into this whole gun thing, but I mean, you can't crucify an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid who makes this mistake. You can't just turn your back on him and say, hey, kick him off the team. He's a bad egg.
Yeah, they want him kicked off the team. They want Oates fired.
Right.
And neither one of them did anything. You know, that's another thing about this lazy reporting. They try to make it sound like Brandon Miller got a text. You know, he's sitting around eating food. He gets a text from Miles, hey, go get my gun and bring it to me. And they make it sound like Miller drove to Miles' apartment, went in there, grabbed the gun, drove back and handed it to Miles. That never happened.
Well, you know what it is? That doesn't fit their narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
It does not fit their narrative at all.
Don't sensationalize the storytelling. Tell the story, present the facts the way they really happened.
No, do we ever get the facts out of the media anymore?
Not anymore.
Even, you know, the responsible media, ABC, NBC, you know, 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on that show. I love that show, but you can't trust anything anymore. It's all slanted.
I don't hardly watch or listen to. You know, I had a subscription to Sirius and was listening to the sports talk. You know, back and forth on my way back and forth to work. I canceled that subscription. I don't listen to that anymore. I don't tune into any of the ESPN shows like where First Take or where they're what's the other one where they're
I don't know. I don't watch.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of them now. Anyway, I don't even. The only time I tune in to ESPN is to watch a basketball game, a UFC fight, an F1 race. Other than that, I don't even turn ESPN on anymore.
Right. No, the political agenda is just, it's gotten way out of hand in everything.
You know, that I'm tempted to just start my own broadcasting company, and where all it is the facts. You know, none of this other sensationalized bullshit, baseless opinions. Yeah, I mean, giving your opinion on something is okay, but when you make shit up like a Skip Bayless just to shock somebody, that's not giving your opinion.
No, especially when you have that kind of a platform.
Exactly.
You know, a platform that some of these shock jocks have. But, you know, they've earned their way up this ladder to get that platform, and then to keep that platform, they have to do these shocking stories and slanted opinions.
One of my last favorite who really put in the time and was a great journalist, even he's turning in Paul Feinbaum. He's turning into just shock and awe.
He is. He's kind of running with this latest Saban comment on the scheduling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and really making light. And it's been another Saban comment taken totally out of context. So.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so none of them are even hardly watchable anymore.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, that's my scumbag, is just what the media has become.
Yeah. Kind of brought it on ourselves, though. I'm hoping Brandon learns from this. You know, Ja Morant is going through some stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So, and that's something that, you know, I kind of skirted around a little bit ago. You know, we can't begin to even understand a young black man's perspective.
Right.
And I don't try to.
No,
and I
it's not fair to.
I never will be able to.
Right.
you know, and I'm not saying that guns is a typical thing in a young black man's life, but I've never walked in their shoes,
Right.
and nor has most of these people that are condemning them.
And giving
you can't condemn these young men for the choices they're making,
because they're basing it on their life and their upbringing, and they don't
and we
they don't
base
understand
it on our life and our perspective, and it's different. It's not fair. It's not fair. I realize he screwed up. I'm not saying he did not screw up. He should have told Miles. He should have said, "No, I'm not getting involved."
Yeah.
But he didn't, and for whatever reason.
Well, we don't even know if he ever saw that second text about the gun.
Right.
That's all assumption, because he was driving when the second text was delivered. So who knows if he even saw the second text?
And you know, Nate Oates hasn't risen to the level he's at by making poor decisions, you know, by putting young men in jeopardy, by making wrong decisions on big subjects. So I got to trust that Nate Oates, the sports information director, the athletic director, have all of the information in front of them to allow Brandon Miller to continue to play.
And they should have came out with a statement from the very get-go that, hey, this is an ongoing investigation. We can't talk about it. We're not going to answer questions about it. But, you know, Brandon Miller, you know, Darius Miles is being charged with capital murder. He's no longer a student at the school. He's no longer a member of the basketball team. Brandon Miller he's a cooperating witness to the event. He's not being charged with anything. He's already been cleared of all wrongdoings, and that's all we're going to say about it. And then that should have been it.
Well, that was 1980 education and PR right there.
Yeah.
Where is the education and PR department now? Our PR department
Yeah.
is the scumbag of this topic.
Yep. Yeah, and I almost was going to make them the scumbag, but so it's kind of a combination of the media and then the SID and the AD at Alabama for not stepping to the plate.
And it pisses me off as an Alabama alum and fan, longtime fan, that our PR department botched this stuff up, because here we are in the wake of one of the greatest basketball seasons, maybe the greatest basketball season,
you know, if they can get to the Final Four
we've ever had, and you want to botch this issue up like you did, and you got two average Joes here that.
But apparently Byrne did the same thing at his last school with I can't remember I think it might have been like on campus rape that involved it with the athletic department or something like that, and he botched the handling of that up too. So if anybody's going to lose their job, and I think he has done some great things for Alabama,
sure he has.
But if anybody's going to lose their job, that's who I think needs to lose their job.
Yeah,
for the handling of this whole situation.
Yeah, it's his responsibility ultimately. Yep. All these groups that we're talking about all fall under his umbrella.
Yep.
So, you know, you definitely disappointed the alumni base and the Alabama faithful for sure. Move on. You know.
All right. Well, let's come in hot, and while we're talking about college, we're going to talk about some college football. Or we're going to go into NFL.
No, let's go into NFL. Let's do the NFL free agent.
Okay.
Free agent hot market right now, and then we'll come in with a little bit of pregame on the March Madness conference tournaments.
Okay. Well, today's Tuesday, so today was the deadline for franchise tag.
Right.
And there was 6 of them that got tagged, and they all got the non-exclusive tag, which the non-exclusive tag, if anybody doesn't know what that is, the player is free to negotiate with any team in the league. He can go out and get another. If he doesn't like the contract that his team's offering him, he can go negotiate with another team. But his team, once he for example, Saquon Barkley for the Giants, he got tagged at $10.8 we'll say 10.1 is really like 10.09 million, but $10.1 million is his tag. He's guaranteed. If he signs the non-exclusive tag, he will play next year for 10.1. Now he can negotiate with the Giants on a longer term deal. He can negotiate with, let's say, the Panthers. We'll keep it right here in the backyard. He could negotiate with the Panthers. If they sign him to a 4-year at $15 million a year, the Giants have first option. They can match that. If they don't match it, the Panthers have to send the Giants 2 first-round draft picks.
Right.
So that's what the non-exclusive. Exclusive, you either play under the tag or you work out a deal with your team. You're not allowed to talk to any other team. So the non-exclusive allows you to be.
That's the holdout. That's the holdout.
That allows right. That allows you to go out and try to find you a better deal. And so anyway, there were 6 of them tagged, 3 running backs, which were Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So all of them are guaranteed if they sign their tag, $10.1 million. And I don't see a team that's going to be willing to try to sign them to a bigger deal and give up 2 first-round picks for a running back.
Not for a running back.
They don't. The running back's not valued as much in the NFL anymore.
Right.
Then you had one tight end, Evan Ingram of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And his tag is his hit's 11.34. And there again, I don't see somebody willing to give up 2 firsts for Evan Ingram.
And where in the world does Evan Ingram get more than Saquon?
Yeah,
that just tells you the position importance.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really think
the tag number. But see,
athletic tight end.
Well, see what it goes to is it takes the average of the top players at that position. So you got tight ends like Kelsey, Kittle that are driving that cost number up.
That's just weird to me though, because I mean you compare Saquon.
Oh, absolutely.
Ingram,
yeah. Who would you give more money to? It's a no-brainer.
Even Tony Pollard worth more. Josh Jacobs to me is worth more than Evan Ingram. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, on the list, Evan Ingram would be the last one I would have tagged.
Yeah.
Darren Payne or Dayron Payne.
Ron, yeah.
18.93 is a defensive tackle million.
Bama
so
boy.
two Bama boys were tagged. One Giant and one ex-Giant were tagged. And then the big name, of course, is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And by doing the non-exclusive, that puts his at $32.4 million. I think the exclusive would have been closer to $40 million. But so Lamar is free to negotiate with anybody, and a quarterback. I could see either of those 6. I could see Payne, who is a defensive tackle. He's not quite a Aaron Donald, but he's
a value position.
He's probably top 5 defensive tackle, or at least last season he had a top 5 season.
Yeah.
So I could see a team willing to give up 2 firsts for him, especially if it's a team that's drafting at the back of the draft.
Sure.
Like say the Chiefs. If they want to give up the last pick of the first round and whatever they're, next year it's going to be probably they're going to do good again next year, so it won't be that great of a first rounder either. I could see a team like the Chiefs go after Payne. And then Lamar Jackson. I mean, 2 firsts for a franchise quarterback. That's
heck yeah. You think about all the teams that are talking about trading up.
Exactly.
I mean, the Panthers.
The
Carolina Panthers. They could give up 2 firsts to get, and I mean, it's going to cost them more than that to move up.
Yeah, usually to move up into like the top 3, you're giving up like 4. I mean, look what who was it just not too long ago that got traded, and they gave up like 4 first-round picks, or was it Deshaun Watson? They gave up like 2 firsts and 2 seconds. I mean, it was a bunch of picks.
I just know that Lamar, I think, is going to have his pick, because I've heard the Falcons. The NFC South, man.
Well, then I saw, and there again, who knows what you can believe in the media today, but I saw that the Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, and Raiders have all said they're not going to pursue him. There again, that's.
Well, it's going to be interesting.
Can you believe that or not?
Especially after the
poker?
combine.
Right.
After the combine, which we didn't even list as a topic
Right.
tonight, but the combine, the quarterbacks had a very successful combine.
Oh yeah. I mean, I saw a mock today that had Anthony Richardson going number 1 overall, which is crazy.
It is crazy, but he did show
I mean,
out.
he's a hell of an athlete.
We knew he was going to test off.
Yeah,
the
maybe the
charts.
best court athlete at the quarterback position in a very long time. But put on the game film.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, that's a good topic. I kind of wanted to talk about that. At the same time,
Man, we can talk about it.
yeah, it's our show. We'll do what the hell we want
That's
to.
right.
That I did want to say, at the same time, are we? I know Anthony Richardson's film is bad, but his receiving core was horrible.
Well, I mean, you've got to evaluate all of that.
Right.
But what I'm looking at is the decision making, and there was a lot of times where he had time to make some throws, and he just held on to the ball. So
Yeah.
those are the types of things you got to look for
Sure.
when you start
I
evaluating.
definitely think he's a project for sure.
Yeah, it's the most pro ready that could step in day one and start is Bryce, and he did weigh over 200, so that
Right.
helped him. But he
I
also
think-
didn't
I
throw,
think-
so
I think Stroud, his name is mentioned now. He had a nice combine.
Yeah, and of course,
his
Will Levis.
Georgia film. Levis, I watched the combine really close, and Levis had a good combine too. I mean, he's an athletic freak.
I put Levis and
But I
Richardson
wasn't
kind of
quite as impressed with his arm like I was Josh Allen.
yeah.
I mean, Levis came in with supposedly this cannon,
Yeah.
and there were a few outside hash throws that I thought,
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean-
and that's why I think Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis need to write him a thank you letter, because that's why I think they're getting pushed up even higher, is because that's who they're comparing them to. Is Josh Allen really didn't have that wow college career, but then he wowed at the combine. Of course, you've also, for every Josh Allen, you got a Ryan Leaf, a Jeff George, you can name it's a 50-50 shot with quarterbacks.
LSU kid, what was his name?
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell.
Marcus Russell.
Yeah, who went number 1 overall and was a big time bust.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Tim Couch,
Yep.
big arm.
I mean, hell, even to me right now, Baker Mayfield, I'd have him in the bust category. He hasn't.
Well,
What is he on?
Number 1 overall.
And he's already been on 3 different teams.
Yeah.
And next year it'll probably be his 4th team, and he'll probably start the year as the backup for whatever team he's on.
right.
So yeah, it's definitely a crapshoot. Well, speaking of quarterbacks, Derek Carr signed with the Saints.
Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling. I thought the Bucks would make a huge push for him.
I think one of us mentioned the Saints last week.
I think we both kind of mentioned the Saints, but I went out on a limb and thought maybe the Bucks would make the push, and then he would ultimately choose the Bucks because of weapons. But
Yeah.
the Saints have a nice weapon choice too, so that's a good fit, man. That's a good fit for him. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is starting to gain a little momentum.
Little momentum. That one I won't believe it till I see it.
Right. right.
Rodgers he's such a unique character that you never know
That's a way
what's
to
going
put
to
it.
happen with him. Yeah, I was trying to figure out a nice way to say it.
I think the Packers are tired of him, and I think they're ready to go a separate. I feel like the Packers brass are just hoping he's going to come back from Madagascar or wherever he's in this dark room at.
Right.
Hoping he's going to come back and say, "Yeah, I think I'm done.
And of course, my Giants had a dilemma today because they had Saquon and Daniel Jones both set to hit free agency. And they wanted to keep both of them. And so they were trying to get Daniel Jones signed to a contract so they didn't have to franchise tag him. And then as soon as they could get that signed, they were going to drop the franchise tag on Saquon. Well, the deal finally, the deadline was 4:00, and I think the deal was announced at like 3:55 that Daniel Jones is signed. Carr signed 4 years, $150 million.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones got 4 years, $160 million. So, but the nice thing about the way that his contract is structured, he's only going to count $19 million against the cap. Now, if they would have given him his 5th-year option, that would have been $20 million. So he's actually counting less against the cap on this 4-year, $160 million deal than he would have had they exercised his 5th-year option last year.
And did he get all of it guaranteed?
No, it's $82 million guaranteed.
82.
So he's 8th in the league as far as his guaranteed money is concerned. He's tied for 7th in his annual average value at $40 million.
So who got all the guaranteed money on his contract?
Oh, that was Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun,
His was
Kirk
100%.
Cousins.
And Mahomes got a lot of guaranteed.
There was one other quarterback that was bizarre that he got it all guaranteed, but that's a big contract. But
It
yeah, I
is.
don't that kind of stuff is over my pay grade.
Well,
How they
you know,
move the money around and
A lot of the fans like to debate, oh, that's ridiculous. Daniel Jones has had one decent season and he's not worth $40 million. Well, it's really what the market dictates. You know, like I would at this point in his career, I would prefer Daniel Jones to Derek Carr.
I don't think there's a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean they're on par with
One's
each
younger.
other. Daniel's a little younger and he's a better runner.
More athletic. Yeah.
Throwing wise, I think they're comparable. I mean, Daniel Jones still has not. Last year he had a great year and he was throwing to undrafted free agents, practice squad players, or late round draft. But now it's time. Go get him a stud receiver and
Right.
and then let's see what he does. But he really seemed to click with Dable, and Dable wanted him around. Dable worked with Josh Allen for the past 3 years, so I think Dable sees the value in him. They went from 31st in offense in 2021 to 15th last year. So I mean, say what you want. I think it was a good move. I think it he's had a different OC and head coach every year of his career. So now it's time to get a little bit of stability. You got the same coaching staff coming back.
That's a big deal.
You
Moving
took
coaches all the
exactly.
time.
You took a big step this past season. Now let's take another big step next year, and so yeah, I think and he also the first Giants playoff win in 11 years. And
You had to rub that in.
who'd they
You had
beat?
to rub that in.
Nah, I wouldn't try to rub in the
No.
fact that it was against the Vikings. It's just it's been a long year. I mean, it's been a long time since the Giants
Yeah.
were a playoff team and won in the playoffs. So, yeah, because I even went back to check when I saw how comparable him and Carr's salaries were. Carr's 0-1 in the playoffs. So that's what a playoff win gets you an extra $10 million.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's only
$10 million.
$2.5 million a year, but
Right.
so yeah, that was good news for the G-men, because then by getting him signed, they were able to guarantee that they at least have an opportunity to keep Saquon. Because if they would have had to tag Daniel Jones, they probably would have had to let Saquon walk.
Yeah. They definitely would have been one or the other at that point.
Right. So
Yeah, the combine was pretty fun to watch. I think it's going to make the draft. The draft's going to be really interesting this year. The Bears clearly are in a good position, man. Considering they feel like they got their franchise quarterback out of the way, they can really make some moves.
yeah, and I think they probably were turning backflips watching that combine.
Oh
Because, as good as some of those quarterbacks look, you're going to have the Colts wanting to get ahead of the Texans. Or the Texans moving from 2-1 to make sure they get their guy. So I think they're in a position where they're going to be able to, get a lot of capital to trade back.
Yeah, the quarterback showed out. Tight ends, man. This is going to be a deep tight end draft. I know that's crazy.
Well, I heard the Notre Dame tight end didn't really wow.
Well, he's not gonna. Going in, you knew he wasn't really gonna wow on measurables. He's just, he's kind of a blockhead. He's not fast. I think he's a waste of a first round pick. Personally, that kid. You remember when you and I went to the Wake Forest Old Dominion game?
Yeah.
Remember that tall, skinny tight end?
Yeah.
We were talking about him during that game, how athletic he looked.
Right.
Well, he showed out. He ran a 4.5.
I tell you, we were talking last week about we didn't really see Gibbs as being that fast. Hell, he ran a 4.36.
Yeah.
And him and Bijan both, I think they both have a really good shot of being first round draft picks.
Bijan showed out for sure. I think Turner won the 40, Michigan DB. So he turned in a 4.32.
That was another article I saw today. It was calling out Saban because all of his players at the combine were a couple of inches shorter and a few pounds lighter than what's in the media guide. And I'm like, who is this idiot reporter? Every college does that.
I swear, I feel like we're nitpicked on everything, but that's part of being.
It was like Saban's been exposed.
The king of the hill, man. When you're the king of the hill, as long as Bama has been, I think some of this fallout is coming.
I mean, back to when I was on the team, I was 5'11".
Yeah, I mean, the program's always overblown. But Scott Cochran at Georgia, he getting a lot of prop. Nolan Smith.
Oh yeah.
You see Nolan Smith's combine. I mean,
he might have worked his way into the
like
first
a Trayvon
round.
Walker from last year.
Yeah.
Come out of nowhere with measurables that tested through the roof. So Nolan Smith has done, moved himself up into I think a top 10, probably a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
That's a big man to run. I mean, there's a couple teams that need linebackers.
Yeah, but I don't know that he's. I don't know that he's gone up that high to the top 10.
I like to make some bold predictions. I don't like to make. Hey, he's moved himself to the first round. Well, of course he's the first round.
Well, no, but he wasn't in the first round.
260 pounds running a 4.4?
I don't think he's that heavy.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, I think he's in the 220s.
No. Let's go to the ticker tape on that. You ought to Saban.
Pull it up, and while you pull that up, I'm gonna mention a couple other things.
Do it. I'm pulling up Nolan Smith.
Calvin Ridley was reinstated for his big whopping $1,000 bet.
Yeah, that was a way to send a message to the NFL.
Exactly.
You did a great job there.
For a player who was on leave at the time of absence. And anyway, but yeah, he'll be with. So that's another weapon for. All
right, they got him at 6'3", 236.
Okay, I was closer than you were, 263, Mr. Dyslexia. Dyslexia.
You can't even say the damn word. Shut the hell up. You can't even say the damn word. You don't get to. Yeah, but that's under, man. He came in heavier than that.
Nah.
What was Nolan Smith's combine weight?
That was the one I saw was the combine weight, and it was like.
Keep talking about Calvin Ridley.
630, 230. Yeah, so Ridley's been reinstated. That'd be a nice weapon for Mr. What's his name now? Golden boy down there. Trevor Lawrence.
Man, you get like me.
I'm pulling a Dut. Can't even remember names. And then, of course...
he came in at 238, so he's a couple pounds up.
Okay. Of course, this... King Henry, there's a lot of rumor going around right now that...
well, he's got some mileage, man.
What is he, 29?
Yeah. And, he just turned 29.
I think he's making about $10 million a year. And
hey, man, I've heard the Vikings mentioned. I'm fine. Send him to somebody with a better offensive line.
Are the Titans going to be in a rebuild?
I guess. They let Taylor Lewan go.
And they got rid of A.J. Brown last year. Taylor Lewan's gone. Now they're talking about trading.
What's his name? The quarterback.
Tannehill might not be back. So it's. I don't know.
Now they're talking about getting rid of King Henry. If I was a Titans fan, man, I'd be ready to burn my jersey.
You said the Vikings, and I also heard the Dolphins.
Oh man,
Can you imagine him in that offense?
I'd like to see him.
Because now you can't double Waddle and Tyreek.
Right.
Because then King James is just going to run right up the middle.
Stack the line of scrimmage. Boy, that makes me smile. That makes me smile.
You might have to get you a James.
I'll definitely
a Henry Dolphins jersey.
I would absolutely.
And of course, he's from Florida, so that'd be a homecoming for him.
I would definitely buy a Dolphins jersey for King Henry for sure.
Him and Tua in the backfield together. That would be sweet.
He's got miles left on him, man.
Oh yeah, that man's a freak.
He is a freak. He is a freak. I would love to see him in a Mike McDaniels.
If any of y'all have not watched some of Derrick Henry's off-season workout videos, pull them up. Go to YouTube and
he's a beautiful human being.
Look him up because that man's a freak and he puts in the work.
He puts on a show in the weight room.
That's about all I had on the NFL. Did you have anything else?
No. We touched base on everything, man.
All right. We about about 45 minutes in. So
let's talk a little bit about. I got a couple of topics.
Okay.
One thing, being that we're in ACC country.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the ACC. The conference ACC, not just football, baseball, basketball,
right,
but just the general conference. Clemson and Florida State put the ACC on notice this past week. They're not happy about the rev share. They're wanting to renegotiate. Obviously, Clemson and Florida State want a bigger piece of the pie. They're starting to look more closely at the Big Ten and the SEC, rev shares. And so the ACC's in trouble.
Yeah.
And their commissioner's kind of, he hasn't really doesn't appear that he's gotten too involved in these super conference discussions, and if the ACC were to lose Clemson and Florida State, that would basically,
especially from a football standpoint,
that would turn that conference totally into like a Big East.
Yeah.
Basketball only.
Yeah. And maybe baseball, but baseball doesn't have a lot of.
Doesn't have a lot of clout when it comes to NC2A.
Yeah, that's to your bigger ticket football team. Even though FSU hasn't been.
Yeah, but they're on the up.
But they are on the up. And they're a name brand.
They are a brand. They're for certainly a brand, and they're on the come up. But I think obviously if they were to bolt, for whatever conference they decide to bolt to, I've even heard the Pac, them talking about bolting to the Pac. I think the whole landscape's about to change.
Yeah, that's so crazy as far as, I would like to see 4 super conferences that are geographically located.
Yeah, me too.
And then let's get together in the middle.
Right.
For championships.
It's funny you say super conferences. That's my whole point to this. Is I said all that to say this. We're getting towards the super conferences, and I think these 2 teams were to bolt, the ACC will implode, and I think we'll head towards those super conferences.
Yeah.
And I would love to see what you just said. I would like to see geographic super conferences. It would make more sense.
Yeah.
But that's all I want to say about that.
Okay.
And then, just a little piece on March Madness. I don't know if you've really looked at it yet. Or
not really. I looked a little bit like at the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And I like the only team that scares me on the Bama side of the bracket is Mississippi State.
Yeah.
If we can avoid them or beat them, I see us playing for the SEC championship, the tournament championship.
Yeah.
Because you got all the other big boys. The Arkansas, the Kentuckys, the Tennessees are on the bottom half. Of the bracket.
And they're all clearly in.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State, ironically, is on the bubble.
Yeah,
they're in some. Jerry Palm's got them on the bubble. Some other guys.
Yeah, if they could have beat Bama.
Yeah,
that game they lost. What did we beat them by 2? I think either 2 or 3 when we came from 17 down to beat them. If they would have won that game, then I think Lenardi was saying that. Then they would have
put them in, but they're on the bubble, so they're going to be hungry.
What about Auburn? Is Auburn sitting on the bubble, or is Auburn?
No, I think Auburn played their way in, man.
I think in the last I saw they were like an 11 seed.
Yeah, they got a good record. They played their way in. Yeah. I think down the stretch they did. But in the ACC, you got North Carolina. North Carolina's got to win the ACC tournament.
They're
Clemson,
going to New York.
Clemson's got to win the ACC tournament. Big Ten, Michigan, they got to win. Penn State, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Oklahoma State out of the Big 12, West Virginia. Out of the Pac-12, USC, Arizona State, Oregon. All these teams are fighting for their big dance life. So today there was a couple games, pretty boring games. So I didn't even finish watching them. So I think BC was playing Virginia Tech. I forget.
Like a play-in.
Yeah, it was some pretty shitty ACC games.
But you got what? You got. Do they start Wednesday or do they start Thursday?
Thursday, I believe. Thursday they start the tournament, but they had some playing.
No,
games.
actually, I think it is Wednesday.
Is it? I'm not
sure.
sure.
Bama plays Friday, and I think there's a couple of games. I think there's some games Wednesday, and then you got the what would be before the quarterfinals Thursday. Then the quarterfinals Friday, semifinals Saturday, and the finals Sunday.
It'd be interesting. There's a couple teams already in.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, there was about
Kennesaw State already in. They won. I don't even know what conference they're in.
I think there was another one that I saw.
I think there is two teams already.
No, I saw there was about 10 teams. That
already won their conference tournaments.
There was one team that when I saw it, it was a team that we're familiar with, and I can't remember who it was now.
I'm trying to pay more attention to it now and start to get my bracket right and try to figure out my bold predictions. Which 12 seed's going to upset a 5 seed.
I've never done good at one of those, filling out your brackets.
That's, it's all luck.
The two things that I have never won is the March Madness bracket or one of the boards at the Super Bowl.
No,
I have never won off of either one of those things.
No, I've been lucky enough to win those a few times. I won the Super Bowl board last year. Not this year. I had a chance. I had 7-4.
Gardner Webb.
They've
already locked. They've made the tournament. That's who it was. I knew it was one of the little small schools around here. Yeah, Gardner Webb. They've already locked up their berth.
Cool. So. That's it, man. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah. Well, we're about 50 minutes in, so we probably need to wrap this up. We can go over there, and we got a strong one waiting for us at the bar.
That's good.
113 proof. So let's go over to the bar, and we'll try that Paragon single barrel, and then we'll rate that shit. We'll see you at the bar. Cheers.